workshop with the School of Medicine. Oh, thanks, Dijane. This is a history taking workshop with the School of Medicine. And I'll go ahead and pass it off to Rahel and Kosar if you guys want to introduce yourselves and then introduce the med students as well.
Yeah, I can start. So I'm Rahel. I'm a first year med student over at the med school, Hopkins Med. I think Kosar right now can't speak yet. She's finishing up another class/meeting. But intro on me, I'm from South Florida. My family is originally from Ethiopia. And then I'm interested right now in a pediatric subspecialty, not sure yet. And then we can go through the other med students for now. If everyone can give an intro, we can do popcorn style so that there's no awkward silences, but I will popcorn it to Wei.
Hi everyone, my name is Wei. I am also a first year medical student and I'm originally from Central Jersey and I'm also interested in a pediatric subspecialty. And maybe Annabelle?
Hi, my name is Annabelle. I'm from Ohio. And I'm not really sure what I'm interested in, but I'm also at the School of Medicine. And I will popcorn to Malini.
Hi everyone, I'm Malini and I'm from the Bay Area in California. I'm broadly interested in women's health, so probably want to do OB-GYN, but not completely sure. And all popcorn to Betty.
Hi everyone. My AirPods do this thing where they connect random without me requesting them to. Can you hear me? Okay, amazing. I'm a first year med student. I'm from North Carolina and I'm interested in peds, but also women's health and also other things. So very much undecided. Popcorn to Kayla.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I grew up here in Baltimore. I'm also a first year with the rest of my classmates. I'm currently interested in ophthalmology. Is that all we were supposed to say? Okay, all right. I'm a popcorn to Chiamaka.
Hey y'all, I'm Chiamaka. I am also a first year medical student and I'm from Gastonia, North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I am very broadly interested in everything. So I'm an open slate. So good to see everyone tonight. And I will popcorn to Claudia.
Hi all, I'm Claudia. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, and also not really sure, but like maybe interested in infectious disease. And I will popcorn to Sandra.
Hi everyone, also first year from Dallas, Texas, and yeah, interested in a lot of internal medicine based specialties like cardiology or neurology. Has Wei gone yet? Okay, who has not gone? Please speak.
I think everyone's gone. Faven, do you want me to just start?
Yeah, feel free.
Okay, so Kosar will introduce herself when she can. But yeah, so thank you guys for coming. This is just a history taking workshop for the pre-med students in MAPS. And the main point is just to get everybody excited about medicine. Great field. So today will be very low-key chill. We're just gonna take you through some of the basics based on what we learned here, but then also there are a lot of resources online that we can link you to if you're interested in what we learned today. But yeah, so Kosar prepared a very nice PowerPoint that I will share and then take you guys through all of the different components that we'll be working on today. 1 second. Okay. Can you guys see this? Yes, okay. How do I, oh, here, not this being in the way. Okay. Yeah, so here's an intro to the patient interview. Again, this is not fully in depth, just a brief overview, just so that we have some content for the breakout rooms. But yeah, so just want to emphasize that the patient interview is a really important part of medicine, and it's some of the first experiences you'll have even in medical school talking to patients. It's a really great opportunity for the patient to also get a chance to air out their concerns, health related, not health related, and then also you as their physician or whoever whatever role you have the opportunity to get as much information as you can to best care for this patient, and advocate for this patient should they need any resources outside of the direct medical field. So very heavy emphasis on relationship-centered interviewing, and we'll mention a little bit about this throughout the slides. So as an overview of the patient interview, when a patient first comes in and you've never seen them before, it'll be super long, probably around 40 minutes, just because you're trying to get as much information as possible. And then follow-up visits are usually like 15-minute focus interviews. But we'll pretend like you have not seen this patient before. So we'll go through the entire interview today. And you obviously start with introductions. You want to make sure that the patient knows that you are another human being. Want to erase any type of power dynamics that might be in the room when they first walk in. Just be down to earth, introduce yourself, be there for the patient, and then you can take their history of present illness. So naturally the conversation will probably go towards what the reason for their visit is. And then you get a lot of details on that. Then it's followed by the past medical history, then the family history, and then the social history. And we'll talk a little bit more about each of these. Yeah, so the basics of relationship-centered interviewing. So you want the patient to have every opportunity possible to say what's on their mind. And to help do this, you can ask open-ended questions. So questions that are not yes or no answers. And we'll give a little bit more detail and some more examples throughout the presentation. But yeah, the entire point of all of this is you want to make sure that the patient feels like you're on their team. You want them to feel very supported by you. You want to make sure that you're listening not only by answering their questions or responding to them, but also non-verbally with your body language. And then reflecting and summarizing what they've said to you is another way, a verbal way to show that you've been actively listening to them. Okay, so for introductions, just like in normal daily life, you start with small talk, again, to make sure that the patient's comfortable. And within this small talk, sometimes, at least I've experienced, is when you ask, how are you doing today? Sometimes the patient will go right into what they're concerned about or the reason they came. And then you transition into gathering all the patient's concerns. Something really important that we learn is that you always want to ask what else, because a lot of the time the patient will come with this primary concern that might be at the top of their head, but there are a lot of other things that they also want to talk about or should talk about, and it'll come up when you ask them the question, what else, as many times as needed. And then once you've gathered all of their concerns, you want to set an agenda. So basically just asking them, like, for example, if you have a list of like headaches, stomach aches, and fatigue, you can ask them, okay, like, let's start with headaches and then we'll move on to stomach aches and then your fatigue. Is that okay with you? And then the patient will respond and then you can move on. And anytime that you start off with one of the concerns of the patient, you want to start with those open-ended questions that I mentioned earlier. So instead of asking yes or no answered questions, you want to ask, tell me about this, just so that the patient has the first opportunity to just tell you everything about that problem that they're facing. And then you also, if you have time, you want to ask them about what ideas they might have about what could be causing these health issues, any concerns that they have related to these health issues, like maybe they think it's this broader issue because something runs in their family or something like that. And then what they expect to get out of the visit is also another important thing to ask, just so that they know that they are the primary focus of the visit. So history of present illness, or HPI. This is basically a chance for you to figure out more details about all of the concerns that the patient brought up as a part of the introduction. So here are some examples, and I can also link some resource from online. I don't know, it's from another school where they also go through all of this. It's pretty standardized, but basically, for example, if a patient comes in with complaints of headaches or something like that, you want to ask them about all these things, like, when did the headache start? Could you show me where exactly the pain is? How long has it gone on? How long do the headaches usually last if they're intermittent? How severe it is? Could you rank it for me on a scale of 1 to 10? And then what makes it feel better? What makes it feel worse? Have you noticed any other symptoms that you face along with the headaches? And then if the patient has any knowledge about having something like this in the past. And before we go into past medical history, I know that was a lot. We've been working on it for months. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop the person leading your breakout room and just like ask, or maybe you can even phone a friend and ask what's the next question that I can ask as a part of this interview. But now move on to past medical history. So this is where you're gathering a lot of information about illnesses that the patient has had in the past, both childhood and adult illnesses. And then you also have a chance to ask them about surgeries, hospitalizations, emergency department visits, any allergies they might have, any medications they might be taking, both prescribed and over the counter. And then if they have been following up on their health prevention, so getting all of their vaccines, making sure they're up to date, and then also their screenings, for example, for cancer. Okay. So next is the family history. And during the family history, you're just trying to find out illnesses that run in the family. And the goal is to get the health of all the first degree relatives. So the patient, their parents, their grandparents, and then also their kids if they have any, and siblings. And also, like I should have mentioned this during the past medical history, but again, you want to start with an open-ended question. So you could start with, could you tell me about any illnesses that run in your family? And that'll give the patient a chance to think more broadly than if you had just asked, like, what has your mother faced any illnesses in her lifetime? And then as you're going through this, just to make sure the patient didn't miss any big ones, you can also do a review of common diseases. For example, if the patient doesn't mention diabetes or heart disease, you can just ask them straightforward, does diabetes run in your family? Does heart disease run in your family, etc. Okay, and lastly is the social history. So as a part of the social history, there are a lot of components to this part, but we'll focus on the patient's early life and education. You can start with an open-ended prompt, like tell me about your childhood, or where did you grow up? And then moving into more present day focus. So they'll probably move into what they do now or what led them to the point that they are now in their life. You can also ask them questions if it doesn't come there naturally, like tell me about a day in your life today. And then also you want to make sure that you're asking about the relationships in the patient's life, where they get support from, and if there are any other things that they devote time to, such as spirituality. You can also get information on their diet, exercise, and sleep. And then also you definitely want to address any barriers to care that they might be facing, especially, for example, if you have patients who don't regularly go to the doctor for whatever reason, you want to make sure that you can address those concerns with that patient. Okay, so that's a brief overview, and now it'll be your turn. So we'll be the med students will be acting as simulation patients, or SPs, will be standardized. So basically in all of the breakout rooms, you'll have a few students per room, depending on how many students are here. I can't see right now, but each student will have a chance to at least ask for some component of the interview. You'll just switch off. And then hopefully you will have gone through all of the components by the end. And then you guys will get a chance to get feedback from the med students, but also remember, this is so low stress. It's just to get everyone excited about medicine. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask your SP or the med student. And then I'll also link in the chat another general resource that you can use, which has a lot of the information that I went over just now. While I do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I set up the breakout rooms. I put 2 med students in each one, so you have groups of 3. Did you want that, or should I put each one individually? So that there'd be 3 undergrad students for every room, or would you want like each one to be individual? So it's like more one-on-one.
I think I think it might be better to have one med student per room, and then if it ends up that some rooms are one-on-one, that's just more personal, that's fine.
Okay, I can do that really quick. Let me just add a couple more rooms. And then now,
That's also in the chat. I just linked something that CoStar found, but it goes over what we just went over. So in case you need help during your interview.
okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open all the rooms. So all the med students should be able to join. Okay. Rahel, is there anything that you wanted to, or CoStar, you guys want to close out with before we just talk about our upcoming events or any questions people had?
I don't think we had anything for in terms of like wrapping up closing thoughts, but I hope everyone had great discussions in their breakout rooms and that the interviews went well, or even if they didn't, that again, it was all very low stakes and just hopefully a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Hope everyone enjoyed it and like got a chance to talk to the med students, ask them other questions, where they like what their backgrounds are, where they came from, how they got to where they got. And with that, just a reminder that those of you who are registered for the Hero CPR session, it will be this upcoming weekend on the 12th. And then we also have a couple of events coming up for our I guess annual mental health series in March, so be on the lookout for those. But yeah, Armand, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think you summed it up. Thanks for joining everyone, and thank you to the wonderful med students. So feel free to give them a reaction on Zoom for spending their Thursday evening with us.
Yeah, thank you to all the med students. Thank you, CoStar and Rahel, for putting this amazing event together. And I hope everyone like took away from it. So have a good night, everyone.